Nick from Playbook here and Harvest Profit. Just wanted to talk to you today about what we're going to do for hosting for Playbook, the costs associated with that, and yeah, just the selection of the hosting provider and the hosting service for this project. And so we're going to use Heroku. So Heroku is a management layer that sits on top. So the management layer here sits on top of Amazon Web Services, which is here. And basically, it allows people like me to make decisions on adding different database levels, adding dynos, adding servers, scaling things up, looking at metrics. It's really just a premium service that sits on top of Amazon and allows non-technical people to operate it. And frankly, anybody, even if you're technical, to spin up a new application very, very quickly. And so that is really the name of the game when we're trying to build a software company within 100 days. Speed is very, very valuable. And at the type of volume, the type of load that we're going to be looking at here in the short term, um, the difference, if you cut your hosting costs in half, as you're going to see, it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. So we're going to take a look. What we're going to use is we're going to use a couple of these standard dynos. They have horizontal scalability. They never sleep. If you use a free dyno at uh, Heroku, it'll kind of go to sleep if nobody uses it, and it'll take a while to spin it back up. You've probably seen that with some beta software if you've ever looked at it. It might take a while to actually render the page the first time because it had went to sleep. So standard dynos, just to give us, we're going to just have two of them, just to have some crossover, some overlap between the two. We will have two dynos running, just a best practice. At Harvest Profit, our other software product, which is in production, has hundreds of customers from all over North America. We have a few standard dynos running and some standard some 2x and some 1x running. The 1x are powering some background jobs, so we have calculations that run in the background, and whether it's just creating tags or doing API calls to tools we use, or doing some calculations on a timely basis. So we use those for background jobs and standard 2x in production. For this, we will use standard 1x dynos, two of them, and then going down to our database, we'll probably also be using some Heroku pipelines, which is just a continuous integration, a way to build a workflow of that, and we can talk about that later. But the other thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be using, at least to start here, the hobby level of a managed Postgres database. It gives us 10 million rows. It's $9 a month. And when we switch this on to production in relatively short order, we'll probably switch over to a $50 a month standard database, which has 4 days of rollback functionality, some maximum downtime. So it's kind of a service, an SLA there, commitment from Heroku there. And then just some other things in there that add a little bit more performance to that. So at the end of the day, we're really happy with Heroku. If you look here, the cost of this is $59 a month. Let's say, just for fun, it's kind of fun to look at some of these premium offerings. Let's say we went to a pretty high powered database for for a small software business, and then let's say we ran 6 standard 1x dynos for background jobs and two of their high performance dynos. We'd be looking at $1,050 a month. So let's say using a service like DigitalOcean or just the raw Amazon Web Services, we could cut that down to maybe $300 or $400. If that takes any time or any cognitive load, it's it's hard for me to justify that unless you start running a service which has, 40 dynos, and you're just running tons and tons and tons of background jobs, then you can start, then the ROI and your time on building that out using a tool like DigitalOcean or Amazon, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Service, then your ROI becomes higher. But for us, we're going to be running a pretty low resource app, at least in the beginning, and even with hundreds and low single digit thousands of customers, we will definitely probably be sticking with Heroku. Really happy with the service we've received, and we still use it to today on Harvest Profit. We could probably cut our hosting cost by 50-60% by getting off of Heroku, but at the end of the day, what's a few $100s? It just doesn't move the needle until you have a very large application. So I highly recommend checking out Heroku. We've been more than happy with it. Might not be the quote unquote most sexy storage solution these days, but it's really rock solid, specifically for Ruby on Rails applications like we're going to be running. So just wanted to share that with you. Day 9 of how to start a software company in 100 days, where we are building out an MVP of the Playbook product, which is a tool that you can manage standard checklists, workflows, standard operating procedures, all with some conditional logic baked in. So look forward to sharing more with you. We're 9% done here, so time's ticking. We're actually getting started with some really initial development today, so things are going to start rolling downhill pretty quick. With that, please subscribe, and thank you very much for joining me on this video. Thank you.